Hello there and welcome to another game review video for the Sanitarium.FM. I am your reviewer for this video, The Predicted Cyborg. The game that we have in front of us to have a look at today is a little indie RPG game which was published by Chilled Mouse, developed by Twist Games, and it's called Twisted Tales, which kind of suits the developer name, don't you think? So, Twisted Tales borrows a lot of settings and lore from classic fairy tales and classic stories like that. The actual story of the game is set around this storyteller who gets upset that people aren't looking at or reading his own stories and therefore decide to, in a way, take and borrow and almost tear out pages of a whole bunch of classic stories and mash them all together into this one big tale and basically go and corrupt and ruin classic stories that people love. And so because of that, as I say, you've got a lot of settings from classic stories, and even our team of three, our heroes, who we play as throughout the game, they've all been taken from like classic stories as well. You have three of them representing three different sort of RPG stereotypes. Archetypes, as you will. You've got Robin Hood, who represents the archer archetype, obviously. I mean, you'd expect that. You have Dr. Jekyl / Mr. Hyde, who is more of a melee fighter. He'd be up front, using his cane as a weapon to hit his enemies. And then you have Snow White, who, for the context of this game, represents a mage archetype, which means that she has access to sort of icy spell magic and also a special ability which is a sort of poison apple, which didn't actually belong to Snow White, it belonged to the evil stepmother in the story, but, you know, this is a game about a whole bunch of stories that have been mashed together and corrupted, so I think we can leave that behind. Also, it's a pretty damn cool ability, it's very useful. So the game itself, it is just your simple RPG, with your three characters. You only get these three characters really. And at first you start off in Sherwood Forest, progressing through the levels. You have just Robin Hood and Snow White at first, but fairly early in the story you do actually come to the campfire where Dr. Jekyll is having previously been found in the story before this game started by Robin Hood, and the three of you team up to basically progress onwards and find a way to get everybody back home. You will progress down pathways, fighting big groups of enemies that you acquire. There is a little mini-map, so you can actually see when enemies are coming up. There are some branches, but it is actually sort of fairly obvious which way you should be going. You can choose to deviate off the path to defeat as many enemies as possible if you want the experience pickups. Now then, the types of enemies are standard things you usually see in an RPG like this. You know, you've got animals, you've got stuff like possessed villagers, monsters, all that kind of thing. And you go along, and usually your characters are able to handle themselves. It does actually help that the enemies will sometimes drop little health pickups, which will let you refuel your health if you're feeling a bit low. And as you go along, you will acquire XP, and as typically happens in an RPG, you will level up. When you level up, you'll get skill points which you can put towards improving your character's abilities, and also to unlock abilities for your characters, you know, like special moves and stuff. You can unlock different special moves, and then obviously as you put more points into them, as you level up, you will unlock new sort of special passive abilities that go along with the special attacks. And you can use those special attacks by hitting the relevant thing on the hotbar. Now, you have your three characters. You can actually switch between them. So, at first you will usually have Robin Hood start off as your lead, and if you want to, you are able to switch over to Snow White or to Jekyll to sort of like lead. Controls in the game, fairly simple. All you have to do is just basically use your mouse to click where you want to go, which is fairly simple, and as you can see, you do sort of fall into a habit of just clicking to have your characters constantly moving. And part of this game, there is a sort of skill to it. You need to watch your character's health, you need to choose the right attacks for them, and you also need to know when to retreat. Sometimes, if a group of enemies are mobbing you, it's better to fall back and let some of those enemies who are aggroed on you decide that they want to go back to their posts, and therefore you'll only have maybe like 1 or 2 still chasing you, which is a lot easier to deal with in retrospect. You are also able to revive your fallen teammates if you're able to get to them. Not easy if you've got a whole bunch of monsters around you, but usually if you can lead the monsters away, you're able to get there and pick up your fallen teammates. And obviously that then will give you a much better advantage in dealing with the rest of them. Or sometimes, in some cases, you actually have to sort of deal with the rest of the enemies before you can get back and revive them. Other things you can find in this game, you will sometimes also pick up stuff like pendants, which you can then equip your character to give a boost to certain stats, or just generally give you good effects. To equip those things, what you need to do is you actually need to be on the character you want to equip it to, and then you need to equip it, because otherwise it will always go to the character that you are focused on at that point. So how do I find this game? I actually kind of like it. It's very easy to use. As I say, movement is just basically click, 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 clicking. The levels that you go through are fairly long. It's not short levels by any means. Quite involving. It is your standard RPG. It's easy to use. It gives you the instructions during the game, like on the screen. It tells you what to do. It tells you what controls to use. It tells you how to do certain things, which is useful if you're not that familiar with RPGs, and also a little bit helpful here because some of the controls, obviously, you need to find out what they are before you can actually play this game properly. Negatives for this game, well, you know, this is your standard RPG. Don't really expect too much from it. It is a very, very good involved game, though. It does have a sort of top-down perspective, and graphically, maybe not the best in the world, but you can forgive that because it is really quite a nice game. I have also sort of found that at some points you need to... It gets a little bit hard, and you need to sort of try a level over and over and over again, and then sometimes you'll get past something without doing anything differently, and you kind of wonder what the hell just happened. But then you kind of just shake your head and you progress. And there's not really that much negative about this game. I really enjoy it. Just, if you're not into the fairy tale thing, then maybe you won't be too interested in it, because the fairy tale, the mashed together of stories thing, is really the big thing that it has going for it, in my opinion. Now, this particular game, it's currently not out on Steam. We do have a review copy, which we have received for review, obviously, which is what I'm doing now. So this game isn't actually on Steam yet. It was going to be released at the end of this year, but like so many games that have been released in the last few years, it has had its release date pushed back just a little bit for a little bit more polish, which means that currently there isn't really a price listed on the Steam page. Given that this is an indie game, though, I don't really see it costing too much. Torn Tales is a very good little indie RPG. It's well made, it works quite well. It is basically what you would expect from a nice little RPG. I don't really see it costing too much, and if you're into good stories, if you're into well put together RPGs, then I would recommend you at least give this one a check out when it releases, because otherwise you're probably going to miss out something really quite nice, and that would be a shame, wouldn't it? And so that does it for this indie game review video. I have been your reviewer, the Predicted Cyborg, and I have been reviewing little indie RPG game Torn Tales by developer Twist Games, published by Chilled Mouse for the Sanitarium.FM gaming radio station. Remember to stay tuned to the YouTube channel for more awesome videos, more reviews like this one, and do come join us on our Discord. Come tune into our radio shows, and just generally come and have some fun with us. That's what we're here for. I will see you with the next video. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you check out some of these other videos from Sanitarium.FM and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. The information is right below that big shiny subscribe button.